Zayden is a gentle soul, 67 years old, retired schoolteacher with a quiet life in a small town. He's the kind of man who wakes early, enjoys a slow morning with his favorite coffee, and tends his garden with patient hands. But lately, things have begun to change in ways that unsettled him deeply. It started with his ankles swelling, not just a little, but enough that his shoes felt tight by midday, and he found himself rubbing the heaviness away in frustration. At first, he thought it was just age catching up, a small inconvenience in the slow march of time. But when he noticed his heart racing unexpectedly after climbing the stairs, and that warm flush creeping across his cheeks for no reason, he began to worry. Zayden's doctor had prescribed him amlodipine months ago to help control his high blood pressure. It was supposed to be a quiet protector, a guardian for his heart that worked silently inside his veins. But the symptoms were whispering a different story, one he hadn't anticipated. During his last visit, the doctor had warned him gently about possible side effects: dizziness, swelling, palpitations. But hearing the words and living the reality were two very different things. Zayden felt caught between gratitude for the medication that kept him safe and fear for the growing list of discomforts it brought. That night, as he sat by the window watching the rain blur the garden, Zayden made a decision. He wouldn't let these silent warnings go unnoticed. There had to be more he could do beyond just taking a pill. The swelling, the fatigue, the sudden dizzy spells, they were signs, gentle yet insistent, calling for a change. It was the beginning of a journey, one that would take him deeper into understanding his body and the subtle language it spoke. He started paying closer attention to what he ate, how he moved, and how his mind held onto worries about aging and health. In the days that followed, Zayden began making small shifts, eating more fresh vegetables, drinking extra water, and walking a little slower and steadier than before. He learned to rise from his chair with care, to listen when his body asked for rest, and to speak openly with his doctor about each new sensation. It wasn't easy, change rarely is. But with every step, Zayden felt a quiet strength growing inside, a resolve to live fully without being overshadowed by fear or discomfort. This story, Zayden's story, is one I want to share with you, not because it's unique, but because it's so familiar. Many of us, especially as we grow older, face similar crossroads with medications that promise health but sometimes deliver surprises. As a doctor who has seen countless patients walk this delicate line, I know how confusing and lonely it can feel. But there is hope and power in awareness, in gentle care, and in making informed choices together. Over the next minutes, I will walk you through the side effects of amlodipine, not just the common, easy-to-ignore ones, but also those rare warnings that could change the course of your health. We'll explore why they happen, how they feel, and what you can do to protect yourself. This isn't about fear, it's about understanding, because when you know what to watch for, you can face your health journey with confidence and peace of mind. Zayden's journey is just beginning, and with every word, I invite you to join him, not as a patient or a stranger, but as family. Together, let's uncover what your body is telling you and find the path to living well beyond the pills. Zayden never imagined that a simple swelling in his ankles would mark the start of such a confusing chapter in his life. It began subtly, just a slight puffiness that made his favorite shoes feel a bit tighter than usual. At first, he brushed it off, thinking it was just a normal part of getting older. But day by day, the swelling grew heavier, like a quiet weight pulling at his legs. It wasn't painful exactly, but it was uncomfortable enough to make him pause whenever he stood or walked for too long. One afternoon, his daughter Emily came over for a visit. She noticed his discomfort immediately and gently asked, "Dad, your legs look swollen. Have you told Dr. Nguyen?" Zayden hesitated. He had mentioned it briefly during his last appointment, but the doctor had said it was a common side effect of the medication, nothing to worry about. Still, Emily's concern planted a seed of doubt in his mind. Was this really harmless, or was it a sign his body was struggling more than he realized? That evening, Zayden sat quietly with his thoughts. He recalled the doctor's explanation about how amlodipine worked. It relaxed the walls of his arteries to lower his blood pressure. But the swelling, or peripheral edema as the doctor called it, was caused because the veins, the vessels that carry blood back to the heart, didn't relax as well. This created a bottleneck effect, allowing fluid to leak into the surrounding tissues. His mind pictured his legs as pipes slowly filling with extra water, and the thought made him uneasy. Despite the discomfort, Zayden decided not to panic. Instead, he took small steps to ease the swelling. He began elevating his legs when sitting, propping his feet up on pillows while reading his favorite books. He also started wearing loose socks instead of the tight ones he preferred, and swapped out his shoes for more comfortable slippers around the house. These little changes brought relief, but the swelling still lingered. One morning, Zayden woke to find his right ankle noticeably more swollen than the left. The skin felt tight, and his socks left deep indentations. A pang of worry settled in his chest. He remembered the doctor's words: sudden, painful, or one-sided swelling could be serious and needed immediate medical attention. He called Emily, who insisted they visit the clinic that day. At the clinic, Dr. Nguyen examined Zayden carefully, reassuring him while also ordering some blood tests and an ultrasound to rule out blood clots. The results showed no clot, but the doctor emphasized the importance of monitoring the swelling closely. "This kind of edema can be frustrating, but is usually manageable," she said gently. "We may need to adjust your dose if it becomes too uncomfortable." Zayden left the clinic feeling a mix of relief and determination. The swelling was more than an annoyance. It was a signal that his body was asking for attention. That day, he made a promise to himself: to listen carefully to every change, no matter how small, and to treat his health as a conversation, not a checklist. With this new awareness, Zayden also started researching natural ways to support his circulation. He learned that foods rich in potassium, like bananas, spinach, and sweet potatoes, could help balance fluids in the body. Incorporating these into his diet became a small but meaningful part of his routine. He found comfort in knowing that alongside his medication, his choices could gently support his body's balance. Through this experience, Zayden began to see his health not just as a matter of pills and appointments, but as a living dialogue between his body, mind, and lifestyle. The swelling that once felt like a burden now became a guide, a quiet reminder to care for himself with patience and kindness. After the swelling became a daily reminder, Zayden began to pay closer attention to how his body felt throughout the day. One morning, as he was getting up from his chair to make breakfast, he suddenly noticed a fluttering in his chest. It wasn't painful, but it felt like his heart was racing or skipping beats, making him stop in his tracks. The sensation surprised him. A mix of discomfort and confusion settled in. He hadn't expected the medication meant to protect his heart to cause such a strange feeling. That afternoon, when Emily called, he described the palpitations hesitantly. "Is this normal, Dad?" she asked, concerned. Zayden wasn't sure. He remembered Dr. Nguyen mentioning that sometimes amlodipine could cause the heart to beat faster in response to lowered blood pressure, but hearing it firsthand felt unsettling. That evening, Zayden took a moment to sit quietly and breathe deeply, trying to calm the strange sensation. He noticed the palpitations were often more noticeable when he was anxious or after climbing stairs. The doctor had explained that when blood pressure drops, the body sometimes sends signals for the heart to beat faster to keep blood flowing properly. It was a reflex, but for Zayden, it felt like an alarm going off inside him. With Emily's encouragement, Zayden started keeping a simple diary, noting when the palpitations happened, how long they lasted, and what he was doing beforehand. This small act of awareness helped him feel more in control rather than fearful. He began to recognize patterns. Stress and caffeine made the palpitations worse, while calm moments and hydration seemed to ease them. Dr. Nguyen reassured him during a follow-up, reminding him that palpitations were common and often benign with this medication, especially early on or at higher doses. But she also warned him to watch for warning signs. If palpitations came with chest pain, dizziness, or fainting, immediate help was necessary. Zayden appreciated this clarity. It was empowering to know when to be calm and when to act. The experience opened Zayden's eyes to the delicate balance his heart maintained every moment. It wasn't just about numbers on a chart, it was a living rhythm responding to his lifestyle, emotions, and medication. This understanding deepened his commitment to gentle self-care. He made simple lifestyle shifts, reducing coffee, practicing slow breathing exercises, and taking short walks to help his circulation without overexertion. Each choice was a quiet conversation with his heart, a promise to honor its signals. In these moments, Zayden also felt the support of his family more deeply. Emily's calls, his wife's gentle reminders to rest, and even his neighbor's friendly chats while gardening wove a safety net around him. The palpitations were no longer isolating, but part of a shared journey. This new chapter taught Zayden that listening to his body was not a sign of weakness, but of wisdom. It was okay to feel unsure and to ask for help. With patience and care, he found peace in the rhythm of his life once more. As weeks passed, Zayden became more familiar with the subtle signs his body sent him. Yet one afternoon, while chatting with a longtime friend over tea, he noticed his face growing warm and flushed in an instant. The sudden redness spread quickly across his cheeks and neck, and though it wasn't painful, it left him feeling self-conscious and a bit embarrassed. It was a sensation he hadn't expected, a visible reminder that the medication was working beyond his blood vessels. He remembered Dr. Nguyen's explanation that amlodipine relaxes tiny blood vessels under the skin, causing this rush of blood and warmth. It was called flushing, and while common, it still caught him off guard. Zayden realized the emotional weight of this symptom. In a small town where neighbors notice everything, looking suddenly red-faced felt like being spotlighted in an uncomfortable way. He started avoiding long conversations and outdoor gatherings during the warmest parts of the day, worried people might ask questions he wasn't ready to answer. One evening, as he confided in Emily about his frustration, she gently reminded him, "Dad, it's just another part of this journey. You don't have to hide it. People who care will understand." Her words lifted some of the weight from his shoulders, helping him see the flushing not as a flaw but as a signal, one his body used to communicate. He began to notice that the flushing tended to lessen over time, especially as his body adjusted to the medication. Drinking cool water, staying in shaded areas, and wearing light clothing became small but effective ways to manage the warmth. These practical steps gave him back a sense of control. More importantly, Zayden learned to be kinder to himself. Accepting that his appearance might change temporarily helped him face social situations with more confidence. He even joked with Emily once, "Well, at least I'm bringing color to the room." Their laughter bridged the gap between discomfort and acceptance. This period marked a quiet transformation in Zayden's mindset. Instead of fighting symptoms or fearing change, he chose to listen and adapt, honoring the signals without shame. It was a gentle lesson in patience with his body, his emotions, and the unpredictable nature of aging. In his daily walks, he found new joy in the simple act of feeling the breeze cool his flushed skin. Moments like these reminded him that health was not about perfection, but balance, and that every challenge carried a hidden grace. Through flushing, Zayden came to understand that true strength was in embracing vulnerability, and that healing was as much about heart and mind as it was about the body. One morning, as Zayden rose from his chair to water the plants outside, a sudden wave of dizziness swept over him. The room seemed to tilt gently, and for a brief moment, he felt unsteady on his feet. He paused, gripping the edge of the table, and took a deep breath. It wasn't the first time this happened since starting his medication, but each episode still caught him off guard. The dizziness, or lightheadedness as the doctor called it, was a common companion for those adjusting to amlodipine. It came from the sudden drop in blood pressure, especially when standing up quickly. Zayden had learned the term orthostatic hypotension, but knowing the name didn't ease the unsettling sensation. This new challenge forced Zayden to slow down in ways he hadn't expected. He began to rise from his seat more carefully, taking moments to sit on the edge of the chair before standing fully. It was a small change, but it made a world of difference. Instead of rushing through his morning routine, he let himself move at a gentler pace, listening to the signals his body sent. Dr. Nguyen emphasized the importance of hydration, reminding Zayden that drinking enough water could help maintain his blood pressure and reduce dizziness. So he kept a water bottle nearby throughout the day, sipping regularly even when he didn't feel thirsty. This simple habit brought surprising comfort and steadiness. At first, Zayden felt frustrated by the limitations. He had always taken pride in his independence and agility, and the dizziness felt like an invisible barrier. But as days turned into weeks, he discovered that slowing down didn't mean giving up. Instead, it became a way to honor his body's rhythm, to move mindfully and safely. His wife, Mai, noticed the change and offered gentle reminders. "Take your time, Zayden. There's no rush." Her patient support was a balm to his spirit, reminding him that health was a journey shared. Together, they adjusted their daily routines, walking slower, resting more often, and embracing the calm moments. This period of adjustment also opened Zayden's heart to the value of patience and self-compassion. He realized that strength wasn't measured by speed or stamina alone, but by the wisdom to recognize when rest was needed. The dizziness, once a source of anxiety, became a teacher in disguise. In quiet moments, Zayden would reflect on how these changes shifted his perspective. The world seemed less like a race and more like a gentle unfolding. He felt gratitude for the chance to reconnect with his body's needs and to nurture himself with kindness. Through these pauses and careful steps, Zayden reclaimed a sense of balance, not just physically, but emotionally. He learned that sometimes healing meant slowing down, listening deeply, and moving forward with quiet courage. Zayden never imagined that alongside the swelling, palpitations, flushing, and dizziness, he would also face a quiet but persistent fatigue. It was as if a soft cloud had settled over his days, dulling his usual spark. Mornings felt slower, and even tasks he once enjoyed, like tending his garden or reading, required more effort than before. This tiredness wasn't just physical, it seeped into his mood and thoughts, wrapping him in a subtle haze of sluggishness. Some days, Zayden wondered if the medication was slowly stealing his vitality, but beneath the fatigue, a deeper understanding was beginning to emerge. During his next appointment, Dr. Nguyen spoke gently about this common experience. She explained that as the blood vessels widened and pressure lowered, the body needed time to adjust. Energy levels often dipped temporarily, but there were ways to support the process. Light, consistent movement, she advised, could help rekindle strength over time. Taking this to heart, Zayden started with slow, short walks around his yard. At first, just 5 minutes felt challenging, but with each day, those steps grew longer and the fresh air seemed to breathe life back into his weary limbs. He found moments of peace in the rhythm of his footsteps, the whisper of leaves, and the warmth of the sun. Zayden also paid attention to his sleep, that precious time of restoration. He adjusted his evening routine, avoiding screens and heavy meals before bed, and created a calm environment that invited restful nights. Slowly, the fog of fatigue began to lift. In the kitchen, he embraced a more balanced diet, adding colorful vegetables and whole foods rich in nutrients. Emily sent him recipes full of flavor and vitality, reminding him that food could be medicine. Zayden found comfort in these small rituals, a way to nourish both body and spirit. The fatigue also opened conversations with his family. Mai noticed when he needed to rest and offered quiet support without judgment. Emily checked in regularly, encouraging him gently. These connections reminded Zayden he was not alone in this journey. Most importantly, Zayden learned to be patient with himself. He let go of expectations to move at his old pace and celebrated each small victory: a walk without stopping, a morning without exhaustion, a peaceful night's sleep. In this gentle unfolding, energy returned not as a rush, but as a steady, kind presence. This phase of fatigue, once daunting, became a turning point. It taught Zayden that healing was a dance of give and take, honoring limits while inviting strength. Through mindful care, support, and time, he reclaimed not just his energy, but a deeper connection to his own resilience. One evening, as Zayden sat quietly reading, he noticed a strange new sensation: a mild ache in his muscles and a stiffness that wasn't there before. It was subtle but persistent, a nagging reminder that something was changing beneath the surface. This discomfort was different from anything he had felt with the swelling or dizziness, and it stirred a quiet concern. He recalled his doctor mentioning that, in rare cases, amlodipine could affect muscle function. The medication's influence on calcium channels sometimes caused muscle stiffness, cramps, or even tremors. Though uncommon, these side effects were important to recognize early. Zayden shared his symptoms with Mai, who encouraged him to speak openly with Dr. Nguyen. At his next visit, he described the ache and stiffness, unsure if it was a sign to stop the medication or a temporary phase. The doctor listened carefully and reassured him that monitoring symptoms and communicating honestly was key. Together, they discussed gentle exercises to maintain flexibility and strength, focusing on movements that would soothe rather than strain. Zayden also began incorporating magnesium-rich foods into his diet: nuts, seeds, leafy greens that could help ease muscle tension naturally. This new chapter in Zayden's journey highlighted the unpredictable nature of managing health with medication. Every symptom was a message, a puzzle piece to understand. Rather than fear these changes, Zayden embraced curiosity and vigilance, trusting the partnership with his healthcare team. At home, family support remained a steady source of comfort. Mai helped him adapt daily activities, making space for rest and movement. Emily's calls brought encouragement and shared stories from others who faced similar challenges. Zayden felt held in a community of care and understanding. Through these experiences, Zayden learned that living well with medication was not about perfection, but balance, a dynamic process of listening, adapting, and choosing kindness toward oneself. Each step, each shift was part of a larger journey toward health that honored both body and spirit. As he reflected on the months since starting Amlodipine, Zayden realized that awareness had become his greatest ally. The swelling, palpitations, flushing, dizziness, fatigue, and muscle changes, all once sources of worry, had taught him to trust his body's voice and to advocate for his well-being. This ongoing journey was not without its challenges, but with patience, support, and knowledge, Zayden embraced a new way of living, one marked by resilience, hope, and gentle strength. A few weeks after dealing with muscle stiffness, Zayden noticed something unusual at breakfast. The coffee he usually savored tasted off, bitter and metallic, stripping away the comfort it once brought. Even the sweetness of his favorite pastries seemed muted, as if his taste buds were playing tricks on him. It was a subtle shift, but one that dimmed his joy for familiar flavors. Around the same time, during his regular dental checkup, his dentist mentioned something unexpected. "Your gums seem a bit swollen and overgrown," she observed gently. Zayden was surprised. He hadn't felt pain or discomfort, only noticed that brushing felt a little harder than before. The dentist explained that certain medications, including amlodipine, could cause gum tissue to enlarge, making oral care trickier. The combination of altered taste and gum changes left Zayden feeling self-conscious. Eating had always been a source of pleasure and connection, sharing meals with Mai, chatting with Emily over Sunday brunch, enjoying neighborhood potlucks. Now the simple act of tasting and chewing came with a shadow of difficulty. Determined not to let this dim his spirit, Zayden talked openly with Dr. Nguyen. Together, they discussed the importance of meticulous oral hygiene and possible adjustments if symptoms worsened. The doctor reassured him that gum changes often stabilize and that taste alterations, though rare, could improve over time. Emily helped him find recipes that highlighted textures and aromas, making meals appealing despite the muted tastes. Mai offered extra care, encouraging regular brushing and flossing, and even helped schedule more frequent dental cleanings. Zayden learned to listen carefully to his body's subtle whispers. These changes, though frustrating, were part of the broader dialogue between medication and mind. He embraced patience, knowing that healing wasn't always straightforward but worth every effort. With renewed focus, Zayden found joy in experimenting with herbs, spices, and fresh ingredients, discovering new flavors that awakened his palate. He realized that adapting to change wasn't about loss but transformation, a chance to rediscover the familiar in unexpected ways. This phase deepened Zayden's appreciation for resilience, not just physical but emotional. Accepting imperfections and finding creative solutions became acts of strength. He understood that every challenge was an opportunity to nurture himself with kindness and flexibility. One quiet evening, Zayden felt a sudden, alarming change. His face, lips, and tongue began to swell noticeably, making it difficult to speak and breathe. Panic surged through him as he struggled to catch his breath, and Mai called emergency services immediately. This was no ordinary swelling, it was angioedema, a rare but serious reaction that could be life-threatening if not treated swiftly. At the hospital, doctors acted quickly, administering medication to reduce the swelling and monitoring his airway. Zayden lay on the bed, overwhelmed by fear and gratitude. The diagnosis was clear. Amlodipine, while protecting his heart, had triggered an allergic response. It was a stark reminder that every medication carried risks, some hidden until the moment they appeared. After stabilizing, Dr. Nguyen explained the importance of recognizing such urgent symptoms and urged Zayden never to ignore sudden, severe swelling, especially of the face or throat. She emphasized that immediate medical attention was critical. This moment marked a turning point from passive patient to active guardian of his health. Zayden's family rallied around him with love and support. Emily researched ways to manage allergies and advocated for him during doctor visits. Mai adjusted their home environment to reduce potential triggers and help Zayden feel safe and cared for. This emergency underscored the fragility and strength of life, how quickly situations could change, yet how resilient the human spirit could be. Zayden emerged with a renewed commitment to vigilance and partnership with his healthcare team. Though the episode was frightening, it deepened his respect for his own body's signals. He understood now more than ever that listening was not just wise, it was life-saving. In the weeks following his angioedema episode, Zayden noticed something unusual, a lingering tiredness that felt heavier than before, coupled with a mild discomfort in the upper right side of his abdomen. At first, he dismissed it as stress or perhaps the after-effects of his recent hospital stay. But the unease persisted, like a quiet whisper he couldn't ignore. During a routine checkup, Dr. Nguyen listened carefully as Zayden described his symptoms. She gently suggested some liver function tests to ensure everything was well. Zayden agreed, understanding that his body might be signaling something beneath the surface. The test results revealed mild liver stress, a rare but possible side effect of amlodipine. While not severe yet, it was a wake-up call. Dr. Nguyen explained that the liver, tirelessly filtering toxins and medications, could become overworked, especially in older adults. Early detection was crucial to prevent serious damage. Zayden committed to protecting his liver through lifestyle changes. He avoided alcohol, prioritized hydration, and incorporated liver-supportive foods like leafy greens, beets, and turmeric into his meals. Emily researched recipes and supplements, always encouraging moderation and balance. This period taught Zayden the importance of subtlety in health. Not every symptom is loud or dramatic. Some come as gentle nudges requiring attentive listening. His journey became one of patience and respect for the body's complex rhythms. Supported by his family and healthcare team, Zayden felt empowered to act proactively. Each small choice was a step toward safeguarding his well-being, a testament to his growing wisdom and resilience. One chilly morning, Zayden experienced something that shook him deeply, a sudden, sharp pain in his chest that radiated to his left arm and jaw. It was intense and frightening, unlike anything he had felt before. His breath came short and sweat broke out on his forehead. This was more than discomfort, it was an urgent signal from his body. Immediately, Mai called emergency services. At the hospital, doctors diagnosed Zayden with worsening angina, chest pain caused by reduced blood flow to the heart. Though amlodipine was prescribed to protect his heart in rare cases, especially with pre-existing artery blockages, it could paradoxically worsen symptoms. Zayden's experience was a stark reminder of the complex dance between medication and the body's fragile systems. The treatment meant to heal sometimes carried risks, requiring vigilance and open communication with healthcare providers. In recovery, Dr. Nguyen worked closely with Zayden to adjust his treatment plan, balancing benefits and risks carefully. They explored alternative medications and lifestyle strategies to ease his heart's burden. This episode deepened Zayden's understanding of living with chronic conditions, that it was not a straight path, but a series of adjustments and learning. With his family by his side and medical guidance, he embraced each day with renewed courage. The chest pain, terrifying as it was, became a catalyst for greater awareness and advocacy for his own health. Zayden knew that listening, acting, and partnering with his doctors were the keys to navigating the uncertainties ahead. As Zayden's journey shows us, managing health with medications like amlodipine is rarely simple. From the first swelling in his ankles to the unexpected flutter of his heart, and from moments of dizziness to the deep fatigue that weighed on his days, he learned to listen closely to his body's quiet signals. Two transformations stand out most: how he moved from feeling overwhelmed by symptoms to embracing patient awareness, and how he shifted from passively taking medication to actively partnering with his healthcare team and family. These changes didn't happen overnight. They came through small, deliberate steps, paying attention to swelling, adjusting his lifestyle gently, opening honest conversations with his doctors, and finding strength in the support around him. Zayden's story invites each of us to do the same, to honor our bodies with kindness, to be curious rather than fearful about new sensations, and to never hesitate in seeking guidance when something feels off. If you or someone you love is taking medications like amlodipine, remember that awareness is your greatest ally. Watch for changes, speak up, and take care of yourself holistically through diet, rest, movement, and connection. The path to wellness is a journey, not a destination, and every mindful choice lights the way. So let Zayden's experience inspire you to listen deeply, act gently, and live fully. Because with care, patience, and hope, every day holds the promise of strength renewed and life embraced.